Codex podcast. Your host, Steven, and co-hosts Mike, Devon, and JD are all set. Join us and tweet your questions at Freelancer Codex. Find us on Facebook at Freelancer Codex, or send emails to freelancercodex@gmail.com. Strap into your javelins and let's drop in.
Welcome, freelancers, to episode 51 of the Freelancer Codex podcast. I am your host, Steve, along with my fantastic hosts, Devon, Mike, and JD. And guys, it has been a long week. This is Gamescom week. Is it Gamescom or Gamescon? I think I always say Gamescom. I can never tell which one it is.
It's calm.
But okay, it's calm. Fair enough.
From somewhere.
It's not me unless someone is watching Mixer and they do not have their Mixer turned down. It's probably not me because I would never do that. So it's got to be someone else. Either way, while you guys check that, because I know you guys are professional podcasters, we've been doing this for a year. Like next week is going to be episode 52. So 52, that's 52 weeks of doing this show. I mean, we've been doing it longer than a year, but it'll be the official 52nd episode, which is kind of insane. But it is the longest running Anthem podcast on the internet, and we've been doing this for way too long with very little information. So guys, to get to know you, I need to know your pet peeve. JD, what is just one pet peeve? It doesn't have to be like your worst one, but just one pet peeve that you have.
Definitely the people who constantly when you're actually insulting somebody, but you claim it's a joke when people get upset. That's a pet peeve of mine.
Oh, so when they say something at the end, they're like, "Oh, it's just a joke. Why are you getting so upset?"
Yeah, it's like, man, your hair looks funny today, man. And then you're like, what? They're like, don't worry, don't get upset. It's just a joke, man.
All right. Mike, pet peeve. I know you got a lot of them.
I do have quite a few pet peeves. This one I file under the category of pet peeves and also worst fears. It's toilets that flush too loud.
Why is that a fear?
What?
It's almost...
Did it scare the poop out of you? What's going on?
It's almost a crippling fear. Because toilets that flush too loud will actually kind of pin me up against the wall. Because I'm like, why are you flushing so loud? Is there something coming out of this? Why is this so loud? I don't know. I don't know what it is. But I've actually... It's so bad that I've actually kind of passed it on to one of my kids.
Oh.
So when I take them potty and it flushes too loud, we both kind of like freeze, and we just kind of like stare at it because like there's some. It shouldn't. Toilets don't need to flush that loud. Like a loud flush doesn't mean a powerful flush.
How much pressure do you really need? Like, is there
exactly?
an origin?
I'm just saying.
Like, fear that you have?
Yes,
So, like,
I'm scared of things. I'm scared of things that don't need. I'm scared of it. I think I've always been scared of it. I don't know what happened. It's just they make a loud toilets that make a loud sound. I'm not okay with it.
Oh, all right, fair enough.
I'm not okay with it.
Devon, do you have a pet peeve? I know you do.
None that I can think of at the moment.
Seriously?
Tell me what, Steve.
I have.
What do I have?
I have another pet peeve of like when people are asked questions beforehand and they are like, no, I don't think I have one.
I mean, Mike just poured his heart out to us with his.
He really did.
That wasn't really my heart.
And
I mean,
here you are, man.
It's a
Just
thing. It's not.
Leaving them out in the wind.
It's not like a thing. I mean, it's a thing.
Come on, Devon.
It sounds like it's. I'm guessing, Mike, you planned like your route, your schedule around places that have toilets that flush really loud, and you either just avoid those places or you make sure you're never at those places when you have.
No, I never know. Like pardon the pun, but it's a crapshoot on which one you get. Like on which ones flush loud and which ones don't. I mean, because you can be in the same restroom and different stalls depending on anyway. That's just one of my pet peeves. And Devon, you're telling me that in all of your gaming time, you don't have a pet peeve of like a 12-year-old acting like a bad A on Halo and just like going off?
I don't know if that's a pet peeve, but no. So I thought of one while you were rambling there for a minute.
That's what I do. I'm just the filler.
I've been up since about 2:30 this morning. Just a note. So
Good. Well,
So
good.
now
Good,
it's
Devon.
time for the
Yes, and I have to get up again at 2:30 in the morning in a couple hours. Anyways, no. So my pet peeve is being somewhere on time when you say you're going to be somewhere. It's super annoying to me when someone says, "Yeah, we're going to meet at this time, or we're going to pick somebody up at this time," and then they show up 45 minutes late, and there's, they don't have technology apparently. Can't say yes. I'm going to be late. So
You can't even. I understand.
Can't
I'm
be
frustrated.
bothered, and I'm just like, hey, screw you.
Fair enough. My pet peeve is people that
Go
don't. No, you go. If you got something to say, Mike, I mean, it's people that talk over people on podcasts. That's exactly what I was going to say. No, it's elevator etiquette. If you are getting onto an elevator, you have to let people
Get off.
get off the
Get
elevator.
off first.
If you are on the elevator and people that rush into the elevator, like the elevator is like, not going to wait for them,
Gonna
or
leave.
explode, or the hotel, or like a loud toilet is flushing and they have to get away from it and they just like rush in, man, that pisses me off. Anyway, guys, this is the longest running Anthem podcast on the internet. There's 84 days until Anthem releases officially across the board. With Origin Access, there's 177 days. Less than 6 months. We don't have a lot of information still. We did get a pretty sweet blog that we'll talk about. Before we do that, Devon has a giveaway. We are giving away the Storm pin, and Devon's going to tell us who won that thing.
So, I mean, obviously people don't like the Storm because there wasn't a lot of interest in this. So,
Oh man,
I was interested. All of those entries were actually mine.
they're all Steve.
they're all fake accounts.
No, it was pretty good. It wasn't, you have a 1 in 14 chance because only 14 people like the Storm enough that they want this pin. So,
Maybe it's because they're afraid that it won't have the cape at launch. All right, Devon, who won this thing?
William Feld, I think is how you pronounce his last name. Felde. William.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to William.
Congratulations.
We'll send you a message, and if you can message us back, we'll get that to you.
So we'll send him a message on YouTube, I'm guessing, because that's where they posted, correct?
Yes.
All right, very cool. All right, so while we're doing that, we also have the next pin that we're going to give away. We have the Colossus pin. Nice red. Got some pretty sweet red racing stripe on there. So how are we going to do this? I think what we are going to do is that we are going to give this away in our Freelancer Codex Discord, and we are going to give it away to a random user there. So if you want access to win a colossal pin, all you got to do is follow the links on our website, freelancercodex.com. That'll take you to our Discord with an invite that'll be open. Jump in there, and we will next episode, on episode 52, we will give away the Colossus pin. So that'll be really exciting. So
what do they have to do, right? They have to comment.
have to join and comment with their pet peeve.
And what server do they have to comment though?
I will create a server where people have to comment. I'll be just called Pin Giveaway.
Pin giveaway.
Pin giveaway.
And that's where you can go in and you can type something in, and then you can level up in our Discord. It's a fun place to hang out. We talk a lot about Anthem. There's a lot of channels to talk about a bunch of other stuff, about other BioWare games. We have a pretty big group of people that love BioWare, so they talk a lot about Mass Effect, all those other games that BioWare created before. So, all right. So first things first, guys. We had got our big BioWare blog for the month, and that was centered around the announcement of who was actually going to be composing Anthem. So we got that, and it was announced that Sarah Schachner is going to be the composer. If that name sounds familiar, it's because she also composed Assassin's Creed Origins, and she has done some composing for Call of Duty. It just says Call of Duty. I don't know if that's Modern Warfare. What was the last one? Was it Infinite Warfare? The last Call of Duty? Or am I totally making that up?
I have no
I'm
idea.
probably making that up. I would assume Devon would know because he buys all the Call of Duty games.
The last Call of Duty was World War II.
Which one was the Infinite one? With the planes and the jetpacks?
That was the one with Kit Harington from Game of Thrones. I think that was Infinite Warfare, wasn't it? That was one in space and such.
I think it might be called that. So we also got, if you go to the BioWare blog post, you can jump on there and you can download the track titled Valor. That is the Freelancer theme. It's the theme that we heard from the EA Play presentation. the song that we heard there. It's a very cool theme. We're going to play a little bit here to kind of talk about the sounds, the different things that we're hearing, the different tones, and the feelings it puts in all of us. So do you guys want me to play just the whole thing all the way through, or do you want me to play all these snippets and just kind of break it up that way? What do you guys think?
Let's do one all the way through the first time, and then we can break it through after that.
All right. I believe this is like 2 minutes long, so here is Valor.
Maybe somebody else should play it.
It's coming through great on my side.
It's coming through horrible for me.
Oh man,
It doesn't help that you're talking over it.
are we though?
Valor, the silent music.
Are you saying you guys can't hear this thing at all, Devin?
It is absolutely silent right now.
Because I turned it off because I can hear it on my end. And since it's an audio podcast for the listeners, I assume that you guys had listened to it before, so you know what to talk about, so that, it'll be recorded on the podcast.
Yeah,
but that's
we're
kind
also
of sausage
live on Mixer.
Well, I guess we could just turn Mixer off until we figure out how the freak this is all not working.
So
Good times, right?
good times, good times.
So what you need to do is go to this blog post and click play when we say play, and then
Because that'll work. So what you need to do is go listen to it. It's pretty fantastic. Guys, impressions. JD, impressions on the soundtrack Valor. Title track.
It is absolutely incredible, in my opinion. I think it has a very interesting sound. I think there's some elements of hopeful to it, but some of the chord changes do kind of remind me of like songs that also kind of emphasize desperation as well. So it's definitely like being brave, like in a desperate time. Like I think that's what comes across, and I think it nails it.
Very cool. Mike, do you have initial impressions on Valor, which is the Freelancer theme?
So I'm actually listening to it right now, and it's good. I don't feel that I'm the best judge of music, but this one, I mean, it's good. It's something that you can. What was the theme that I really liked that I was into? The Halo music. It's the Halo music that I really liked, and as weird and corny and cheesy as it sounds, and hopefully most people will agree with me on this, that it does invoke a certain emotion, especially when you're tied to it. And it's weird for me because I really wasn't into Halo, and I'm not super into Halo, like maybe Devon or Steven is. But the music sometimes, and this is the really weird part, sometimes I'll just put the title, I'll queue up the game and just listen to the music on a menu screen. Just because it's like, I don't know, triumphant. I don't have the words to describe it, but it's just cool music, and I like it. Just like this, it seems like it tells a story. It seems like it is very well orchestrated and constructed. I appreciate the music. I feel really weird talking about it, but I think it's cool.
Just because you don't know like how to.
Well,
talk
no,
about
because I feel weird. I feel weird sharing my emotions about music because I try to keep those kind of to myself because I feel like awkward, like Devon's smirking right now, and so I'm like, maybe I'm really off on this. This is one of those things where, like, in your English class, when you're supposed to read a poem, and you're supposed to like interpret it, and I guess I just used like the surface level interpretations, and the teacher's like, really, you can do better than that. And I'm like, what? The door's red. They said the door's red. It's a red door. Like, what am I supposed to do? So I guess I always feel nervous about that, but I like the music. I think Sarah did a great job. I'm glad it's going to be an Anthem, and I'm excited for the game to come out in 6 months, and excited to get more information about it. And so,
Mike, I feel like we're learning a lot about you on episode 51.
I am very happy about this spiritual journey we're going on with mine.
So 51 was my bus number riding to school when I was younger. And so maybe that's what it is. And that's not even a joke. That's not even a joke. It really was. It really was.
All right, Devon. Hit us with your whatever you're going to hit us with.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed the music. I like that it's recorded, with the orchestra. And I really like, there's some hero tones going on early with the trombones, trumpets, French horns.
Wait, what did you say?
Trombones, trumpets.
No, did you say heterotones?
Huh? French horns? What?
No, what did you say?
I think he said hero tones.
Hero tones, yes.
Oh, hero
Yes,
tones.
like-
Heterotones. What kind of weird music lingo are you talking about here?
No,
That's
there
his-
was,
that's his intro to
obviously
music class.
some synthetic stuff going on in the intro, of course. But then we got to the live orchestra, and it's really good. I really liked it, and I liked the video that was also in the blog post, just showing them, a 20-second clip of their recording in studio. So that's always good when they have live orchestras. It really makes a difference for the music. I definitely liked when the didgeridoo came in. So that they gave, like I talked about in my comment on Twitter, kind of took it back to a primal or, a really kind of, this world is a savage place, and it's not, it's technologically advanced, but at the same time, it's not, so.
It's not a safe place to be.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
really
I
good.
really-
It's great.
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed like the cello, the violins, everything that you're hearing in there, the drum line. I broke it up into like 6 different parts. It seems like there's good places where the tone changes in the song, where it goes from using strings instruments to using the didgeridoo and drums, then going to using cello, using violin. So breaking it up and hearing it that way, it sounded really cool. So I'm excited for the music. I love buying soundtracks for video games. and I just have a video game soundtrack playlist that I use when I'm driving or when I'm doing other stuff. So this will definitely be one that if you bought the Legion of Dawn edition, you automatically get the soundtrack. So
Bonus.
I'm glad there's going to be a lot of people that are going to have access to the music. Hopefully they'll release like a vinyl edition down the line, so you can pick that up for people that are still buying vinyl records. So that'll be pretty exciting.
Uncompressed audio.
I have
Right
a
on.
vinyl collection myself.
How big is your vinyl collection? Or
It's about 2 boxes, about this big. I don't know. It's a couple.
seriously,
Yeah.
you have that many vinyls?
Yeah.
Just
amazing.
like old vinyls that you found like at yard sales, or
Yep. Yard sales and collections from people, and my record player doesn't work, so I got to get a new one. But I also got what they do when they released Halo, the Halo 2 Anniversary soundtrack on vinyl. I purchased that one. You just can't beat vinyl. So
no, you can't. I was gonna buy the Cuphead vinyl record, but that thing's like $80. It's like I don't think I'm gonna spend $80. Anyway,
costs
Anthem
a lot
Talk,
to
yeah.
make limited presses, right? So
I guess it does. Pretty soon. So, do you think, Mike, pretty soon once they start releasing cassette tapes, like you're gonna go back and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm buying cassette tapes of all this old stuff because that's how I used to listen to music when you were a kid.
Oh,
No.
nah.
No, like
No.
I mean, vinyl's making a comeback. I'm surprised.
Well,
like
I don't know
It's
if it
not.
is.
It's not really that they're making a comeback, just so much as it's like one of the few formats where the audio is completely uncompressed, which every digital format is slightly compressed to a certain extent. So the audio quality of a vinyl record is superior to almost everything else.
Well, I'm saying they're making a comeback because a lot of people are making like their vinyl editions of all their soundtracks, and before they didn't do that, it was all on CD or. So I think it's
actually
just having the
have-
tactile feel,
players that use a laser to read the vinyl instead of a needle.
so it doesn't even touch it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But those are like $5,000, so
Oh, cheap. Yeah, we can buy that.
cheap
Well,
record player.
Totally affordable.
All right, guys. Gamescom is happening. There's a lot of people over in Germany. They're eating
Lucky
bratwurst,
people.
drinking beer. What else do Germans do? I don't know. They yell "nine" all the time, according to the movies. So I don't even know if that's German. So John Warner was down there. They were showing off the game. It was still the demo wasn't open to the public, and from what I hear, the demo was the same demo that they were playing at EA Play.
Yep.
Which is, I mean, it's not surprising. It's pretty close to EA Play, so I doubt they would have time to make a completely different build to send down there. So they're doing that. It's still by appointment only. I figured they would have opened up the doors to get more people hands-on. So kind of interesting why they wouldn't. I don't know if Devon, JD, or Mike, if you guys heard if they're playing that on PC, if they're playing that on Xbox or PlayStations.
I think it's all still
I
on
haven't
PC.
heard.
So
Okay, they're still playing it on PC.
I would also assume it's on PC because when it was running at EA Play, it was almost exclusively on PC. So
All right, so John's down there. He's doing another AMAAA, giving Mark a little bit of break of having to answer a bunch of questions all the time. So John went down there, started answering questions. So we're going to go down the list of some of the more interesting questions that people asked, and some of the more interesting questions. There was a lot of questions that were the same that we're just going to skip over. We know when the game is going to release. We know there's going to be 4 players per server. We know that there's no romances. We don't know anything about the beta yet. They're going to save that to release later. We don't know anything about the Storm, anything more about the Interceptor. They're saving a lot of this stuff for later on. I'm guessing they're going to save it for the PAX panel that they're going to be doing at September 1st, I believe it is.
Yep.
That Saturday.
Yeah.
So they're saving a lot of that information for then. So a lot of the...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, we see this, we talk about it every week, and it's still just crazy, that so many people just don't, they just don't know, right? And that's got to be frustrating for the developers. But at the same time, it's also good because it means there's more people finding out about Anthem, that somehow, I guess,
Didn't know before.
know about Anthem. So, yeah, but, I mean, there's obviously people, they want the information, they just, there's no good, easy place to find it, or there is, but those people don't know where to find it.
Yeah, and I think JD mentioned last episode that if you are someone new coming into Anthem, if you don't know who the producer is, if you don't know who the game director is, like how would you find that information out?
Yeah.
Unless someone like GameSpot, Game Informer, IGN, if they put an article out breaking that down, they wouldn't even know, okay, Jonathan Warner's the, game director on Anthem. I should follow him. I should follow Mark Dara because they're doing all these questions. So, I mean, that's kind of a tough spot to be, because how do you get it out there without putting up Twitch ads, putting up YouTube ads, and getting it in front of people? Because I imagine that's where the majority of people are seeing ads nowadays for video games, or on Twitch or on YouTube. I don't watch TV, so I don't know how many video games ads there are on TV anymore. So it's kind of a tough spot to be in. Like, is any suggestions? Like, hey, just put it on the radio. Do people still listen to the radio? I don't think people listen to the radio anymore.
More people listen to radio than watch TV.
What?
That's what the ads say. I don't know.
All right, so
an ad on the radio.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't
Interesting.
know. I mean, that's their problem, right? So, I mean, we don't know how to fix it.
It is their problem, but it's our problem if no one plays the game, and they're like, oh, I guess there's just no one playing Anthem anymore because no one knew that it was going to be released on the 22nd of February 2019. I'm sure they'll start
19.
I'm sure they'll start boosting that hype train a little faster with.
There'll be a Super Bowl commercial.
You think so?
There's a good way to spend a couple $1 million.
Yeah, maybe they're just saving their budget for that. I mean, let's just put all the billions of dollars into one 10-second commercial spot.
I mean, that's 100 million Americans watching, right? So.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
all right, let's break down this AMA here. All right. JD put this one first. This is the one that JD picked out. John said that players will have call signs. So I don't know if this means that these are going to be call signs that will actually be voiced in the game. I'm going to guess no. I'm guessing I don't know if this is just your gamer tag, your PSN
I think it's just
ID.
the nameplate stuff that comes up above your name. So.
Think it'll be the same as your gamer tag?
No, so I think even in Halo 5 they have a call sign where you can put in.
You can do the 4 digits or whatever.
Yeah, you can put in a couple digits of your stuff there, or maybe they have specific ones that you can earn or whatever. Like you earn a call sign by completing so many missions or killing so many different enemies.
Like having a title underneath your name.
Yeah.
Because you would still want your name on it, right?
Yeah,
there, right?
I mean you want your gamer tag there. I mean. Yeah, I guess.
What if you're flying your javelin and you take a picture of an enemy javelin, but you're inverted? Do you think maybe you'll get the Maverick call sign?
It's classified.
So do you guys think people that don't like the damage numbers or combo indicators on the screen, are they even going to want a name over their javelins or over the javelins of their friends? I mean, if they are always talking about that, taking them out of the immersion of the game, wouldn't having, Freelancer Mike, flying over their buddy's name.
Unless maybe it shows up in a cool way, like on your HUD. But I guess we don't get to see the HUD, huh? Because we're in third person.
Well, you get to see the HUD. I mean, we get to
see. Yeah.
We saw when they were flying around,
but
they would
not
say Colossus 1, Colossus 2. Storm
but it's
1.
not like me looking through my helmet.
No.
Like using like that kind of a HUD. So maybe, I'm sure people will say, no, I don't want to know. I don't want to see those tags. One thing that I do like seeing, I can't remember what game did this, but an outline of where your team is. On a map, that would be
Diablo.
Is that Diablo? Where you just see once they get far enough away, you just see their outline to see kind of where they are in a heat vision-esque infrared kind of mode kind of thing.
You saw them behind walls and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and then
because that would be useful.
You can see their name tag or whatever, whichever direction they're at.
Floating around. Yeah. I think that's just part of games now. Can you guys think of a game that doesn't have that kind of identification system? That's what I thought.
Cuphead?
See, it's part of it. You're a Cuphead.
All right, JD, what's your call sign? You get to pick your call sign here. What do you put in?
I'll probably just do what I've always done with games that have an option like this, and probably just go with JD. Only 2 letters, easy to understand.
Easy peasy. Devon, what's your call sign?
I use N24.
N24?
Yeah.
What is N24?
So
The last letter of his first name, the first letter of his last name, and his age. Day he was born.
that was pretty close, but I'm not 24.
Day
I was
you-
24 when I started using that in Halo 3 or whatever game it was, and they only had enough letters for. They only had like 4 or 3 letters, and so I was like, N24, I guess, because I can't put my name in there. I can't do like abbreviation of Never Fear, so I was like, just N24. And
Nice.
so then I just keep using that all the time. It's just N24. It just pops up, and if I'm playing with somebody else and they don't know who I am, then I have to educate them.
If you don't know who I am, if you don't know
If
by
you're
now,
playing with me and you don't know who I am, well then I obviously don't know who you are.
Then we have problems.
your logic is sound. Mike, call sign.
Did I have it up there?
If you get to say it, I'm not gonna do all the work for you here.
Well, whatever. I'm not going to say it. Someone's going to take it. It's got to be a secret thing.
All right, we'll keep Mike a secret, and I'll just call
It's a
myself.
secret.
Let me look it up
Dorky.
here. I'll tell everybody.
Hey,
All
shut
right.
it.
So moving on, John gets asked by Cactus HD. That's high definition for those of you that were born 7 years ago.
HD?
Cactus HD. He asked that the initial launch is just as important as the post-launch. What are your plans for post-launch? And John says, we'll talk about it later. And there was a lot of questions that he got that were just like that. So moving on. So Imani Edwards says, what happens to experience once you max out your freelancer? Will there be an additional system to encourage the grind? And John says, yes.
We'll talk about that later.
No, he actually just said yes. And that's exactly how he said it, because John's a pretty excitable guy. So he said yes, or he didn't say absolutely this time. So questions. There's a lot of games that do post-game experience launch. You gain Paragon levels in Diablo. You gain, I don't know what you gain in other games. So my question to you guys, what form do you want this to be taken in? Do you want it just to be every time you level up after this, that experience gap increases? So you go from having to earn 100 experience points to 1 billion experience points, and that grind takes forever. Or do you want it to be like a set amount? Hey, 20,000 experience points, you get to put another point into this attribute. Which way do you guys want to go with that? JD, how do they do it in Warframe?
So in Warframe, once you get to the quote-unquote end game, a lot of it is just about min-maxing your build. Usually there are end game sort of items that you can get, mods that are even rarer and more powerful. However, they could also have random stats, so you need certain types of materials to re-roll the stats. So you can only keep 12 of them, only can be used with certain weapons. However, a lot of people would say that the true end game of Warframe is what a lot of people refer as fashion frame, which is basically just getting gear, crafting it, and basically using it to make the best looking Warframe you can. Which is what a lot of people do, and I've seen some really cool designs out there. But that's more or less what they do, just making the best build you possibly can. And
do you like that system? Is that a system you think there's good ideas from it that you'd want to implement into Anthem, or is it something that it works good for this game, but it probably won't work good for Anthem?
I think with min-maxing, especially if it's something like Javelins, where there's different possibilities for both the pilot stats, and then you also have individual gear slots and everything. I think you could have a very different type of Colossus or Storm or Ranger or Interceptor, depending on which path you go. And I think it's not necessarily min-maxing it to be objectively the best, but making it the most efficient for your play style in Warframe. So I think in Anthem, if they follow a similar track, you could have people with very different javelins coming in, but these are javelins that have been fine-tuned for their usage. And I think that'll end up making some really cool stuff.
Right on, Mike. What's your end game? What do you want to see? What's going to keep you coming back after you hit level cap?
So I think I'm okay with a 20,000 point per level experience kind of thing. So for sake of argument, after level 30, if that becomes the cap or whatever, then after that, I'd be okay with maybe an XP level up loot drop. Maybe it's just an item, just a random item that falls out of the sky and you can collect. Maybe it's maybe it's a chest that with points that go to a vanity chest that you can end up buying with points to kind of get those vanity things that JD was talking about, like you would do. Just to, I mean, it's something. It's not really. It's really nothing, but it's something. If that makes sense, because.
But is that something that would keep you coming back? That hey, if I keep playing, if I keep leveling up, what would make you go from all right, I've hit this level 105. What's the drive for you to go to 106? Just for like a random drop or?
Well, I think for me anyway, the way I'm planning on playing Anthem is level will kind of take a back seat to experience. Meaning if I, so our group, our team, the four of us will probably most likely play together probably 90 to 95% of the time. Maybe even more than that. And so depending on what we do, Devon's all surprised. So depending on what we do, if a stronghold,
95 is a lot,
but it's not 100. It doesn't have to be. But what I'm saying is,
95 can be 100.
It can be 100, but so because there will be time where we're playing solo, where we jump in solo and just kind of run around. But what I'm saying is that I think the thing that will drive me, and maybe the rest of our group, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think the thing that will drive me is, okay, guys, we're getting ready for the stronghold on Saturday. They recommend level 26. We're all at level 13. We've got some work to do, So it's not so much getting, and the gear will get you up that level if it follows.
Yeah,
the same pattern.
But I mean,
I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that level drive won't be as big for me as experience drive. If I do have to get to a certain level to do a stronghold, if I do have to do a certain level to do set activity, then I'll probably work for that. I won't just work for it just to get.
But anything after
grind.
that, then it doesn't matter so much to you.
I don't think so. I mean, it'll be cool. It'll be cool to get shaders and different colored javelins, different colored suits. But again, I think that's not my big drive.
Gotcha. Devon, what's your drive after you hit level 30 level cap?
So the system I want to see is pretty similar to Diablo and what they have in Borderlands. It's kind of a mix of both. So basically they have the same amount of, so once you reach max level, like in Diablo it's level 70, and then the thing that's different from, that I want them to include from like Borderlands, there's two different things. One is, so the first cap was like 50, and then they would release an expansion and it would go up in level, right? So you can go max level. So what they do when you reach the cap is there's a certain amount of XP you have to gain after that, and it gives you a point. And in Diablo, obviously you can get a Paragon point, and you can put it in one of 4 areas, depending on where you are. As you're going through, there's 4 different areas, and each area has 4 attributes that you can increase. So with Borderlands, it gives you 6 random out of a list of like 20 to 30 total attributes. And so those attributes increase everything. If you have a weapon, you can, if you want to focus on just specific things that are showing up there, you can keep pushing, into your weapon accuracy or whatever else. But those increase. But in Borderlands, whenever they would release a new expansion, those points would stop until you reach max level again. So you would stop gaining those other points, and then you could pick it right back up as soon as you got to max level. So I want to be able to continue to make my javelins better and increase the skill by continuing to play, because when there's nothing to really play for, it's like, I like Sea of Thieves, but at the same time, I don't really play it because, the only point of playing it is when you're playing it with friends and you complete that experience, and then it's like, okay, I don't really need to increase to Pirate Legend or whatever, because it doesn't really give me much that I'm looking for. Whereas if you can increase your skills and attributes, infinitely, you can have, a really crappy weapon that you don't like, but your accuracy is increased, by 20%, and it's so much better. So. Yeah,
so that carrot on the stick isn't there for Sea of Thieves. For Diablo, I I don't so much like the Diablo method because at the end of Diablo, Mike's searching Diablo on his phone right now, so he has all up on this information. So
I'm trying to. I don't know much about all this stuff. I'm doing my research now. I'm sorry. I apologize, but I'm learning a lot.
It's pet
you're
peeve
texting your brother
about
So every time you level up in Diablo, like Devon said, you get 1 point to go to 4 stats. Like there were so many times when you'd get a Paragon in level in Diablo that you wouldn't even go and allocate it right away. You'd be like, oh, I have 20 Paragon points that I didn't even know I had, because in the long run, those points don't mean too much towards your build. I mean, it's all gear pieces that way. So even then, you're playing in that game not so much for the Paragon level, but just that's just something that happens while you're playing. But like you said, in Borderlands, there are some little bit more incentives to go for. So hopefully there's something like that in Anthem. I hope there's not, I hope it's meaningful to keep going and to continue. And it's not a system that just kind of, if you're not playing this much, then you're not going to be able to do the strongholds at this level. There has to be a balance there that, it's a good thing. It's a good incentive for people to keep playing, but it can't be something that if you're not playing all the time and if you're not at this, high enough level that you're not going to be able to do the toughest content. So,
there's one comment on that. So you were talking about the Diablo, and really, I mean, the Paragon points, like I said, in early levels, they don't really matter much, but really to do because there's a difference in their in-game content of the repeatable,
Right.
rifts and stuff like that. And the higher level you want to do, like if you're doing like a level 80 and above, you really need, 600 to 1,000 Paragon points to really help you push over until you get that gear like you're talking about. And even still, like a lot of those guys that play it and push into those higher level rifts of the harder difficulty, they're, over 1,000 to 2,000 Paragons. Because that's
it's over 9,000.
So, I mean, there can be something like that, where, I mean, we know you can change the difficulty, but it's not on the same scale of being able to change, between level 10 and level 100 or whatever, for in Diablo. But I don't know. I mean, like you said, I hope it is worth it. So,
yeah. All right, Nicholas Finn. He asked John on Twitter. He says, "Will there be biomes other than jungle and water?" And John says, "It is mostly the jungle, with a few surprises to come." So, is this just a badly worded answer that he says it's mostly jungle, but with a few surprises to come? Because what does that mean? A few surprises to come? Does that mean, oh, it's jungle, but we're bringing in the mountains later?
It might be well, that's all we have ready now. Give us a second to get the expansions ready, or maybe the jungle is the only thing we could get ready. The snow isn't doing what we want it to, and the desert isn't reacting the way it's supposed to. So maybe it's a necessity. Excuse me. Maybe it's a necessity kind of thing. But I don't know.
Because right now, if the jungle is most of the game, I mean that's pretty disappointing to me, because I would like to see other things besides the jungle. We've seen concept art about mountains on fire, concept arts about more forest looking areas. I mean, we've seen under the caves and stuff, but do you guys think that maybe just the way that the shapers built this world was supposed to be jungle and that's it? I mean, if you have God's world, so what they want
also
to be.
that remember also that the surface is jungle. I mean, we don't know how far underground we go. From the first level, Scars and Villainy seem to be all underground, and so there's a lot of verticality to this game, and so maybe we're going a whole lot deeper, and that's where the lava comes into play that we've seen in the concept art, and maybe we find a cave that has the mountains in it. I mean, we're not real sure what the makeup of this planet is. We don't know if it's vast like ours. It has different regions with different terrain. Maybe this terrain is stacked vertically. I mean, plus, and we haven't really seen anything explored too much in the sky, have we? Like floating islands or things like that.
I think the only thing we've seen is in the first reveal trailer when they jump off of the tower at Fort Tarsus. We're flying through the sky.
There wasn't much in the air there, though, was it? It was just us flying.
No, but we were pretty high up, so before we started going in. So,
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? I mean, is this? How did you guys interpret this question? That 98% of this game we're going to be in the jungle, or there's other Coming.
I kind of look at it like, it's more of their we're not ready to talk about that yet, type of conversation. Is with most of the stuff they have, it's it's like, yeah, we'll talk about that later, but it's like, yeah, it's mostly jungle. I can understand that they want to focus on one particular area, and my guess is that down the line they'll expand. I mean, hopefully they'll expand the map. As bigger expansions or whatever. I don't mean, they could have them in the expansions and have those biomes in there easily. We kind of talked about it on our Discord today. There's games that just have one type of environment or one type of weather, and that just really wears on you. The more you play it, because it's just like, oh, it's always winter, or it's always this.
I'm always in New York City, and it's always winter.
Yeah. So
It's always depressing.
Yeah, so I'm hoping they have, they talked about weather and different things, and so, it'll be interesting. That's my whole thing was, either they're not ready to talk about it, or it'll be in there, but it's smaller, and then they'll bring it in more as expansions come around. So,
and it probably is for sure coming. They're not going to leave. I mean, we saw the map, right? We saw the map that they gave us, and it's big and vast. And John Warner on one of his interviews today, he said that the game is big, right? And they have a plan for it. And it's not just this isn't just Anthem, and then we're moving on to the next project. There's going to be a version 2.0 and a version 3.0 and expansions in the middle, and so they're not going to leave us. I think this just seems like natural progression. They gotta see if everything's going to work in the jungle. All the mechanics and all their physics and things, and so we'll get it when it comes out. And again, I think it plays to that idea of what's next. John Warner in his interview, he says that the first horizon is going to be, getting the experience to your pilot, and then getting the first javelin, and then getting the second javelin, and maybe one of the horizons is conquering the jungle, and then the next horizon will be conquering the mountains, kind of thing. So if you look at it that way, it actually bodes well for the game and gives us the idea that it is going to be here for a long time. This isn't just a one and done.
They give you a little taste of something else,
like Hansen.
This is what you can look forward to.
I would like to say,
exactly.
I would like to say that historically speaking, when it comes to BioWare, usually when they show something in concept art but they don't show an equivalent in the game itself, that has always usually been an area that they don't talk about prior to launch because it's plot related. Like Mass Effect had concept art of the final planet. I think it's like Ilos or something like that is the name. I know it's been the same in Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age Inquisition, Mass Effect 2, 3, Andromeda. Like they usually have concept art that they show off before the game, and you see it's like, oh well, this is like an unannounced planet. And then it just, when all the promotional stuff starts coming up, you see gameplay, you see the devs talking, it's just absent from it, and you're like, oh well, I guess it's just unused. And then it's actually like spoiler territory, really. So I think that's what he might be referring to when he's talking like a few surprises to come. Like maybe the lava area might have some significance. Maybe the icy area might have some significance to the plot. I don't know. I certainly hope it's not just a jungle, but from what we've seen of the jungle so far, there's caves, there's like a lot to it, and it does make sense because anytime you've ever seen, like, did any of you guys ever seen that like show where it's like After Earth or like After Humanity, it's like left Earth or whatever, it
takes over.
Well, most overgrown climates usually end up looking a little jungly, and it would make sense that a world without civilization all over it would be considerably overgrown. So it makes sense. Is it interesting for long-term gameplay? Probably not, but who knows? It might be different in how they execute it.
I don't know. I spent a lot of time in a game that didn't have too many changes in their world, and so I think my thing is like I said about the experience. I don't know if it really matters as long as I've got people to play with and friends to play with. So
yeah, Solitaire's rough, man. You could change the background color, but
no, you can't. You can change the background of your cards. You can't change the background color.
Can you play Solitaire with other people?
Oh yeah, it's called Solitaire co-op. So Malik says, or asks John, in what ways will players be incentivized to keep coming back to Anthem and staying, he put that in all caps for some reason, logged in for numerous hours at any given time? It sounds like Malik is like, I've got to be logged into this game, staying in here, not logging out. Will this come in the form of multifaceted quests, perhaps XP boons for playing during specific world events? And John answers and says, because we have a dynamic world in Anthem, there are multiple reasons to keep coming back. We'll be able to get into details later. Dang it! He did it again. He's like, nope, we're just going to push that one on down the line.
Smooth
Thought we were going to get an answer.
transition.
Nope. So John's like, no, we're talking about this later. So a lot of stuff that they're just not talking about. All right.
X,
So yeah, they keep talking about the dynamic world, bringing it up, and hopefully that's going to be something that will keep us logged in and keep us playing a bunch. Brandon Jorgensen, I think that's how you say that. So the Colossus has the shield. What do the other javelins have in that slot? And are there other abilities for that slot? So John says the shield is not a gear slot. It's a damage mitigation ability. The Ranger has a dash. You have seen the Storm's teleportation in our gameplay demo. More on the Interceptor later. So this is interesting because I assume that the shield was a gear piece that you could equip on the Colossus, but it sounds like there's some sort of damage mitigation. And the Ranger has the dash, and the Storm can teleport. So I don't know if that's going to be just specific. That's what it is. That's not going to change. You'll always have that if you're in these specific javelins. But it doesn't sound like there's going to be... I mean, maybe there'll be multiple types of shields. I don't know. Do you guys think that they're going to have... Because if you can have multiple types of shields for the Colossus, what do you do for the Ranger that has a dash? Different types of dashes? Different...
Yeah, maybe it's a dash that leaves, damage as you can dash through somebody, or I don't know,
Maybe it's a distance thing. Your first dash is 3 meters. Your higher level dashes are 15 meters. Maybe you can have a vertical dash. Maybe you could have like a dot dash or a dot dash. I don't know. It makes sense that you want your Colossus shield to kind of suit your personality. If there are options for one, if it's just the shield and that's it, I think I'm okay with that. I guess it would be like the it'd be like a what would it be like in another game? Maybe like a melee attack. I think about Destiny that had 3 classes and each of the melee attacks were different, right? The Hunter used a knife, the Storm punched, and the Titan did a shoulder charge. Is that what it was?
No, the Titan just punched harder. The Hunter had the throwing knife.
The Warlock had
attached their melee.
A broken punch from 6 feet away.
Like that,
or something like that. So it was the same thing but different. And depending on what javelin you use, like I don't think it matters to me that one has a shield and one can run. I wonder what the Interceptor will have. Maybe like a
run faster?
I guess run faster than the...
what it'll probably do? It'll probably go stealth. I'm guessing what it'll probably do.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Are we talking about differences in the shield and in dashes in terms of like actual like gameplay differences, or are we just talking about like the pure cosmetics of it?
No, we're talking about...
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah, a little bit of both. Whether, if you can change the Colossus shield to be something different, what do you do for a Ranger or an Interceptor that just moves or teleports?
Maybe you can.
I would probably
maybe
say
there's
like particle effects then, like different particle effects. Like instead of like a lightning teleport, you might have like a fire themed teleport, or a dash. Like you might leave some flames in your wake, or maybe like a bunch of dust and dirt flies out of the ground as you move. Like just different effects, or maybe it just looks different.
Because we've also seen the Colossus use the shield to mitigate damage from mines. So
and he got to walk with it, huh?
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see more. Yeah. So then Platinum Keck says, "Wann wir es in Demo zu Anthem geben." That's French. So then John says, "The good news is demo details will be coming very soon." I don't know what that means. They said very soon we'd be getting the music blog post, and that was about a month and a half till we got that. So I don't know what very soon means.
Plans change, Steven. Okay.
Yeah,
plans
they do.
do change. I'm guessing probably very soon is going to be a week and 3 days, which is September 1st, and that'll be the PAX panel. So I'm going to guess a lot of that is going to happen then.
gonna be a
If they
good
were
day.
going to announce a demo, I'm going to guess they're going to announce it then. Correct? Is that kind of where we're placing our bets here?
Watch pots, man. Watch pots.
Watch pots never
Boil?
flame gas. Hardcore VR asks, will we get VR support post launch? And John says it's possible. Never say never. So are you guys? I was really on board with the VR train. It's like, hey, I'm going to build this computer so we can play Anthem. Might as well build it to where it's VR capable. But it sounds like the only times you'd be able to use VR in any adequate way would be whether you're in Fort Tarsis or you're in the Strider. So, maybe it'll happen. Otherwise, third-person VR, that doesn't sound appealing to me. Is that something that you guys are remotely interested in?
Nope.
Nah.
No.
I'm not.
Cool.
VR is getting better, but it's until they're getting to where it's wireless. They have adapters or newer headsets, second, third generations, but they're like $1,200 just for the VR headset, and so to really
Until the image can come out of my TV, I'm not doing VR. If I have to wear something, it's not happening.
I don't mind wearing something, but I just think it's not
Because you wear glasses. What about those of us who never wear anything on our face, like
you
ever?
wear a hat every day. It's on
not
your
on my face.
This is
It's
part
not
of
on
your
my face.
This is part of
That's
your
your
face.
forehead.
Yeah.
That's your
I mean,
forehead.
I just want, I'm just waiting for the point in my lifetime when video games just get beamed straight into your brain, man. Like, why do you need like an entire room for VR? Like, every person I've seen who has VR that wasn't at a convention or something like that, they have a VR room.
Have to. You gotta have that space where you
Yeah,
hit people.
you have to, and it's like okay,
And padded so you don't run into stuff.
So if you're like the average person, not only is this a high cost point in terms of point of entry, but you also need you need space, which is already a premium for most people that live in any kind
Anywhere?
of place ever. My friends, they're pretty well. One of my friends was pretty well off, and he has his own quote unquote holodeck, and it was cool. But I still don't think VR is anything more than a fad. I haven't been convinced otherwise so far.
All right, you're going to be a tough sell, JD. But guys, I think that was unless I missed something that you guys saw from the AMA, there wasn't a lot of other questions asked that weren't repeats of what we already covered or things that we already knew. So that is it, I believe, for episode 51 of the Freelancer Codex podcast, the longest running Anthem podcast on the internet. It's times like this when you remember, man, we really did have a drought of information for a really long time. And as we're getting things trickled in, sometimes it's easy for us to remember or be like, man, we need a lot more information, but really we're getting more than we ever had before, which is a good thing.
We've done more with less.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to keep that perspective. We're starting to get stuff. So I personally get kind of greedy, where I feel like if you're starting to release information, don't stop. Keep the hype train rolling. It's really hard to do, but we're doing our best to get the information out there to people that ask. Answered a lot of questions that people have had sent in. It's like, no, they already answered this question. Here's a tweet to it. So we're doing our part, BioWare. Come on, we'll give you time. You can have time. Just not too much.
I think it's good. There's a lot of people, like I said earlier, that still don't know. Even on Reddit, people comment on my post and they're like, "What did you guys talk about for 50 episodes?" It's like, what do you? It's just really repetitive, And so, it's interesting. New people come to Reddit and other places, and they're just trying to figure things out about Anthem, and like you said, we've been talking for a long time, and now we don't. We're still speculating, but we're getting closer to the point where we don't need to speculate anymore. So
we've got some nuggets.
Pretty soon, in a week and a half, we'll know a lot more than we did before. So we'll probably
that is not a sanctioned time frame.
It's not, but that's what I'm assuming. I just hope people that when they announce when the demo is going to be released, that we don't get upset that it's going to be released in January. Because I think a lot of people are really excited for the demo, but we're not going to get the demo for a long time. My prediction is it releases in January or even early February. We're not going to get it in November. Not going to happen.
I mean,
So,
to me, if they don't release it in November or December, then it's, I mean, all it is a server test. I mean, it's
but
not.
we're talking demo here though, not the beta.
Yeah. Well, they don't
I
say
mean-
beta. All they say is demos. They never have said the
didn't-
word beta. So it's
Didn't
always
Division
just
also
demo.
do a demo? Like they had a beta and then they also had a demo.
Who? Sorry,
The Division.
they had an alpha test and they had a beta. I don't know if they had an actual demo or not. I'm not 100% sure. You could be right.
All I know is, BioWare keeps saying demos, and it says demos in, the Legion of Dawn, so plural.
Correct.
So they obviously have to have something, but like we've talked about before, that could be from one weekend to the next weekend. And but I think if they're serious about getting anything from these besides a server test, then it needs to be with a couple months, more than just 1 month or 2 months before the game comes out. So.
But that would be a beta though, right?
Yeah, but they're not using the term beta, so.
But then are we sure that they're I just don't want to assume that they're using demo when they really mean beta. I'm just assuming that they mean demo, and it's going to be a demo. It's going to be the first part of the game that's actually going to launch. This is to play so that you buy the game, not to play to test servers.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see.
It will be.
Like, again, it'd be nice to have a little bit more information. But until next time, guys, there's a freelancer on the horizon.
There's a freelancer on the horizon.
I wish there was a freelancer on the horizon. There's a Shaper Storm coming. We'll see you on the other side.
Don't forget to join our Discord to your chance to win a colossal pin.
This bad boy right here.
There it is. He's holding it up.
All right, here we go. I'm going to do a sound check, and then we're going to get this thing going because I want to go to bed. Welcome, Freelancers, episode 42 of the Freelancer Codex podcast. I'll play a thing.
Welcome to the week.
Devon will talk.
So, that's going to be awesome. Wish I was there, but at least they're streaming it. So
Devon will talk.
You're playing stuff in the background. Talk about. We're always going to have questions.
No, I'm not.
I'm playing stuff in the background. Hey!
Mike will talk.
This is the sound check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And JD will talk.
I'm not playing anything in the background. It's just all me, baby.